I recently read Scattered Minds and shared a summary in an earlier video. It was the first book I read on the subject, and it helped me understand my own experiences with ADHD and how I see myself. While the book was insightful, I decided to dig deeper into some of the theories Gabor Mate presents, especially his claim that trauma is the root cause of ADD. In this video, I'll break down the non-evidence-based claims he makes and explain why I now believe this book is fundamentally flawed. 1. ADHD as a developmental response to early emotional environment. Mate argues that ADHD is not a genetic disorder, but rather a developmental coping mechanism formed in response to early emotional stress or a lack of attunement between parent and infant. Why it's not evidence-based. This perspective contradicts a large body of research indicating that ADHD has a significant genetic heritability component, estimated to be around 70 to 80%. While environmental factors do play a role in expression, the claim that ADHD is primarily caused by emotional disruption in infancy is not widely supported by large-scale empirical studies. 2. Parental stress and emotional inconsistency as causal agents. He posits that parental stress and disconnection during the early years of a child's life disrupt the development of the brain, especially the prefrontal cortex, leading to ADHD. Why it's controversial. Although stress and attachment patterns do influence child development, there is insufficient evidence to claim a causal link between parental stress and ADHD. Most studies point to a complex interaction between genes and environment rather than a single-cause framework. 3. Intrauterine emotional environment shaping ADHD. Mate suggests that the fetus absorbs maternal emotional states like anxiety, depression, or stress, and this intrauterine experience contributes to the future development of ADHD. Why it's speculative. While prenatal stress is being studied in developmental science, the idea that a fetus absorbs and internalizes the mother's emotional pain in a way that causes ADHD remains highly speculative. There's no robust clinical evidence to support such a direct and deterministic pathway. 4. ADHD is not a medical disorder, but a psychological adaptation. He challenges the medical model of ADHD as a neurological dysfunction, framing it instead as a psychological adaptation to a stressful or overstimulating environment. Why it's disputed. This contradicts the neurological evidence showing structural and functional differences in the brains of individuals with ADHD, e.g., differences in dopamine regulation, prefrontal cortex function. Although these differences do not prove dysfunction in every case, dismissing the neurobiological basis of ADHD is at odds with current scientific consensus. 5. Healing ADHD without medication. Mate emphasizes that ADHD can be healed or significantly improved through emotional reconnection, therapy, mindfulness, and lifestyle changes, and he is skeptical of long-term pharmaceutical interventions. Why it's only partially supported. While non-pharmacological interventions like therapy, mindfulness, and parenting strategies are helpful and important, there is strong clinical evidence that stimulant medications like methylphenidate are effective in reducing core symptoms of ADHD in many individuals. Mate's rejection of pharmacology as a primary tool is considered non-mainstream in evidence-based ADHD treatment guidelines. 6. The impact of modern culture and society. He suggests that modern Western culture, with its high levels of distraction, disconnection, and emotional repression, is a primary cause of the ADHD epidemic. Why it's a weakly supported theory. While cultural factors may influence diagnosis rates or symptom expression, the idea that modernity itself causes ADHD lacks direct empirical support. ADHD is diagnosed across diverse cultures and socioeconomic levels, indicating it's not solely a product of modern Western life. Summary of the problem. Mate's theories are valuable from a psychodynamic and holistic perspective, especially for encouraging empathy, non-stigmatizing views, and trauma-informed approaches. However, many of his core assertions fall outside of rigorous, peer-reviewed, evidence-based medical or psychological frameworks. His interpretations often rely heavily on clinical intuition, case studies, and personal reflection, which, while insightful, do not meet the standards of scientific proof.